This is Fox News interviewing Don Trump Jr.
Let's bring in Donald Trump Jr., Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization, of course, the son of President Trump. He's got a beard now. Don Jr., tell us a little bit about what it was like with your dad before he went in, because it was just about 10 days ago that Nancy Pelosi uninvited him. So going in, was he going, this could be tough because there could be a lot of resistance in there?
No, listen, I mean, the bottom line is there's always going to be resistance. When you look at some of the things that the Democrats refused to stand for, the fact that my father got right to try legislation passed, so many things, that all-time low Hispanic unemployment, all-time low African-American unemployment, the fact that the State of the Union is strong. When you see the Democrats not standing for that, I mean, those are things we can all agree on. Those are things that any American should be proud of. And so, I think he always knows they're going to put up some sort of fake resistance for political purposes. But the reality is, he's a game time player. He went in there, he was prepared, he was ready, and he delivered. I mean, he made me not only proud, incredibly proud as a son, but also as an American, and we need to see more of that these days.
Don, I thought it was smart of him to start with the unity issues, what we have in common, how victory is not winning for our party, or winning is for our country. It had nothing to do with Democrats, Republicans. Then he goes into the economic numbers, which no one can disagree with, and is proud of him for that. Then he talked about energy, how we're now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas. Then criminal justice, which was a bipartisan issue. And then he talked about the wall and immigration. Listen to this.
This is a moral issue. The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards. Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel. We will always support the brave men and women of law enforcement. And I pledge to you tonight that I will never abolish our heroes from ICE. Thank you. Now is the time for Congress to show the world that America is committed to ending illegal immigration and putting the ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers out of business.
Your father's speech last night approved of the speech, and a majority of them approve of his take on immigration.
I'll leave it there because I want to bring something to our attention. This is Dick Morris. His site.
Welcome to Deep Six, the Deep State. I'm doing this broadcast right after the State of the Union speech. I think this speech was a tremendous triumph. I think it was an unbelievable triumph. I think that several different levels. First of all, there's a theory that was expressed by John Meacham, the former editor of Newsweek, that the President of the United States is the head of our secular religion. We don't have a king. We don't have a sort of ceremonial head of the country. And the president serves that purpose. And Trump, until now, has never invested that purpose. He's never really done that. And here he was clearly the secular pope, the spiritual leader of the secular democracy in the United States. I thought he achieved heights of eloquence, particularly at the end of his speech, that he's never dared achieve before. And he went for the gold, in a sense, by laying it out with patriotism and love and fervor, and nobody who's watching could doubt his sincerity. But I think there's a more important point here. Every president, when they stand up and give a State of the Union speech, and I wrote Bill Clinton's speech in 1995 and 96, and there's a chapter on that in my new book, 50 Shades of Politics. But when a president gives a State of the Union speech, it's a summary of what he's done and a summary of what he's been proposing. And the media's been covering it, and this reminds people, but it doesn't break new ground. But the media coverage of Donald Trump has been so horrible, so one-sided, so negative, so stingy in covering any positive news about him, that when he laid out that positive stuff about the economy and about AIDS and about ISIS and about drug prices and about the contributions to NATO from our allies and 1,000 other topics, it was the first people heard of it. They didn't know that he was advocating paid family leave. They didn't know that he was so aggressive in cancer for children. They didn't know that he had succeeded in lowering drug prices, prescription drugs, by more than had happened in 46 years. This is all brand new information. And precisely because the media never covered it before, I think the impact of this speech will be very significant. The second thing is that he clearly went out of his way to embrace civil rights and feminism. And his unabashed cheering for women in the workforce, helping women in other countries in the workforce, his celebration of the number of women working, his statement that 58% of the new jobs that have been created have been filled by women, and also his commitment to civil rights, his talking about the entire focus of civil rights and on black unemployment being at its lowest point in history. I think that in both of those he showed a real compassion, a real commitment, and in the course of the partisan fights, we often don't realize what consensus there is on these basic core values issues, and how Donald Trump helps embody this consensus. I think he did himself a world of good with women and with minorities by the way he handled himself in this speech. But most important, apart from all of this, he was human tonight. He wasn't just a confrontational monster with his points fighting the other side. He wasn't a gladiator. He stepped out of his armor and he revealed his heart. And he showed himself to be a compassionate, caring, even loving man. When he introduced those folks in the audience, when just having them there and talking about them, it was so clear that this was the human side of Donald Trump, and he needed that. He's been through a horrible experience with the government shutdown and, of course, all the investigations that are going nowhere, and his ratings suffered. And tonight he had a real chance to bring them back, and boy, I think he did. I think the polling in the next few days is going to be very different from before. And I was impressed on immigration. He showed a flexibility about negotiation. He said he wants his wall, and he's certainly going to get some wall. But he spoke about a whole variety of other things that are just as important as a wall that he's likely to get. I think it was a great speech. And you know what? It was given by a great president.
And finally, here's a snippet of Steve Turley. I do like his work.
The Union address is nothing short of a national Make America Great Again rally. President Trump is delivering his, well, technically it's his second State of the Union address. He did address a joint session of Congress back in 2017, but as I understand it, technically that was not a State of the Union. Nevertheless, he is most certainly speaking before the nation this evening. Now, what I want to argue for you is that in many ways, what Trump has done over the last couple of years, you'll notice, is he's transformed his State of the Unions and his press conferences into what we might call national MAGA rallies, okay? And this is one of the things I think that makes Trump so incredibly unique as an American president as well as a world leader.
This is Catania Alvin saying, God bless. You will also see the last 3 or so minutes of President Trump's beautiful, moving State of the Union speech for 2019.
When American soldiers set out beneath the dark skies over the English Channel in the early hours of D-Day 1944, they were just young men of 18 and 19 hurtling on fragile landing craft toward the most momentous battle in the history of war. They did not know if they would survive the hour. They did not know if they would grow old. But they knew that America had to prevail. Their cause was this nation, generations yet unborn. Why did they do it? They did it for America. They did it for us. Everything that has come since our triumph over communism, our giant leaps of science and discovery, our unrivaled progress towards equality and justice, all of it is possible thanks to the blood and tears and courage and vision of the Americans who came before. Think of this Capitol. Think of this very chamber where lawmakers before you voted to end slavery, to build the railroads and the highways, and defeat fascism, to secure civil rights, and to face down evil empires. Here tonight, we have legislators from across this magnificent republic. You have come from the rocky shores of Maine and the volcanic peaks of Hawaii, from the snowy woods of Wisconsin and the red deserts of Arizona, from the green farms of Kentucky and the golden beaches of California. Together we represent the most extraordinary nation in all of history. What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? I ask the men and women of this Congress, look at the opportunities before us. Our most thrilling achievements are still ahead. Our most exciting journeys still await. Our biggest victories are still to come. We have not yet begun to dream. We must choose whether we are defined by our differences or whether we dare to transcend them. We must choose whether we squander our great inheritance or whether we proudly declare that we are Americans. We do the incredible. We defy the impossible. We conquer the unknown. This is the time to reignite the American imagination. This is the time to search for the tallest summit and set our sights on the brightest star. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love and loyalty and memory that link us together as citizens, as neighbors, as patriots. This is our future, our fate, and our choice to make. I am asking you to choose greatness. No matter the trials we face, no matter the challenges to come, we must go forward together. We must keep America first in our hearts. We must keep freedom alive in our souls. And we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation, under God, must be the hope and the promise and the light and the glory among all the nations of the world. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.